feet of the bumpy trail here left. Then everything will be quite a bit smoother compared to this. Anyway, this is one of the things I wanted to show you here. This is a fungus that you'll find on dead birch trees. It's called a birch conch. Okay, it's got a couple neat uses by the natives. And one, they transport fire with it. And how they do that, they bore a hole out. You take a hot ember from the fire, put it in there, wrap it up, put it in your pocket, and hours later you're able to pull that out and start another fire with it.
Really?
So that's pretty cool. The other thing, it's a natural antiseptic. We'll grind it into a powder and mix it with water and make a paste and put it on a cutter or burn to keep it from getting infected. So that's good to know out here. Okay, we got all these spruce trees out here. You can tell by looking at the tips there what came out this spring. Anyway, when that first pops out in the spring, it's real tiny, tender, bright green. And it's even got like a peanut skin around it. It's called the spruce tips, and it's one of the moose's favorite foods this time of year. They love those spruce tips. I mean, this time in the spring. So they eat them off. If you notice, all the larger spruce trees, all the bottom branches are dead. Because over the years, the moose have eaten all those tips off. Okay, the natives will also make a tea out of the spruce tips to relieve congestion. If you're all stuffed up, you drink some of that tea and it helps relieve it. Then we had food recipes. They in the paper about 2 months ago about all the little things you can make with the spruce tips: cookies, candy, tea, and all kinds of things. You know, drinks. And,
is it flashing?
A lady a couple months ago on my tour said she had somewhere in Alaska she had a spruce tip martini, and she couldn't remember where. And it was probably because you're drinking spruce tip martinis. Yeah. Well, there's our little squirrel friend over there. So he usually shows up every other tour. See him over there? Right through the tree there. You see him right on the tree there.
On the tree.
Yeah. Anyway, sometimes he's over here on this tree. But there's your wildlife. Okay, you guys saw wildlife.
We have those at home.
Not those.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's a red. Is that a red squirrel or the? Yeah, that's a red squirrel. Anyway, okay, so the moose is eating like crazy this time of year because this green stuff's only available for about 4.5 months. And this is what they eat, all these green stuff. They love the leaves, and there's not too much out here they won't eat. They'll eat berries. They're good. That's what I'm getting ready to tell you. Anyway, they only have twigs, bark, and some berries that are left on the trees to eat in the winter. So they will lose about 20% of their body weight over the winter. So this time of year, they're packing it back on. So an adult moose will eat about 60 pounds of vegetation a day this time of year. It's quite a bit. Every time you see them, you're going to see them chewing this time of year because they're just eating like crazy. Okay, and anyway, you'll see the big antlers on the bulls. Okay, you're not going to quite see that. We're almost there. They're almost fully grown yet. They actually fall off and regenerate each year. In between January and March, they just drop right off their heads into the forest here. So you think they pile up over the years. The little animals and the bears will eat them because they're full of calcium, protein, and other minerals that are good for them. So you're real lucky if you can find one because they're worth some money. Then you got these carvers that will turn them into beautiful works of art. So you're real lucky if you can find one. Anyway, they start growing in again as soon as the weather warms up, and they come in pretty quickly, up to 1 inch a day. So all summer long, you see that reddish-brown felt on them. It's called velvet, and that means they're still growing and they're still soft. So towards the end of August, we're right around the corner there. They will be to the full size, and that felt will start falling off, and they'll hasten that by rubbing their antlers on a tree. Okay, and then when they get them all hard and everything, they're ready for the rut in September. That's moose mating season. So it starts with the bull will dig a rut pit, and he will urinate in it. The pheromones in the urine together with his call will bring all the cows in the area in. It could be 6, 8, 10, 12 cows will show up. And they'll actually come in and they roll around in that pit and they become part of his harem. As all that's going on, other bulls have heard the call and they smell the calves, so they come in, the cows, and they come in and they challenge him to get to the cows. So that's where the antlers come in. They'll push each other around for a couple hours, and the weaker one will get sent running. And now it's time to mate with all these cows that are here. And he may reject a couple, and the scientists don't know why, but my guess is one's a whiny pain in the ass and the other one nags too much. Okay, so anyway, once they mate, all the calves are born from middle of May to the first week of June. So if you see the little ones in the travel, you get an idea how old they are. Okay, and they grow up pretty quickly. By the sometime in the second summer, they'll leave mom, and she'll get aggressive with them. She'll push them away, and then everybody's on their own again. Okay, the other thing you'll see a moose doing this time of year is, especially on a hot, sunny day, they'll go into a lake and they'll sit in there for a couple hours to get it. They go in there to cool off, get away from the bugs. They also eat the vegetation off the bottom of the lake. It's the only land mammal on the planet that does that. Okay, moose hunting season just started 4 days ago. Started on the 10th with 10 days of bow season if you're a bow hunter. My boss Roger there with the beard, he's a bow hunter, so he's got his bow in one of those trucks there, and in between tours he runs out looking for a bull. So anyway,
Bulls only.
yeah, bulls only, okay. The bull, and it has to be a rack at least 50 inches across, or he's going to have 3 brow tines, a fork, or a spike, and those things indicate that he's at least 6 years old and he's had time to make little mooses. Okay, and if you've never had moose meat, it's excellent. I'd say the closest thing to it is beef. It's actually higher in protein and lower in fat and cholesterol in beef, so it's better for you. And unfortunately, you'll never see beef on, you'll never see the moose on a menu or for sale anywhere. The reason is because a lot of that other wild stuff that you're eating is actually farm raised. And they tried to farm raise moose, it just wasn't possible. They're solitary animals and they need a wide space, so it just wasn't possible to do that. So the cool thing about up here, you go to any function out here, a wedding, birthday party, Christmas, whatever it is, there's always at least a moose dish there, if not 2 or 3. Okay, so that's good. Anyway, good stuff. All right, we're gonna head on down to Rabideau Creek now. It's just around the corner here. We'll take a little break there. I'll show you the, we'll talk about the salmon and bears a little bit. We'll take some pictures because there's some beautiful scenery down there. Go ahead and start them up. Anyway, this is called Rabideau Creek, and it's named after 2 French brothers that settled here in the early 1900s. They originally came here to mine for gold, but they got into the fur trade instead. Now, just west of here is Queer Creek, and I'm not sure if that has anything to do with 2 French brothers, but it does make you wonder. Anyway, the salmon come up here to spawn. The first one to show up the rivers of Alaska are the kings or Chinooks. Starts about mid-May, and they're there through June into July. And they're the biggest of the salmon species. They run 25 to 30 pounds, and the Biggest one ever caught was 97 pounds, caught in the Kenai Peninsula in 1986.
What are you pointing at, honey?
Okay, and they estimate it was over 100
Fish.
pounds. It was out of the water for several hours before they weighed it. Okay, and a couple months ago, a friend of our boss's son caught an 80-pound king salmon down at Deshka Landing just south of here. That's the biggest one I've heard of in a long time. That's a big fish. Anyway, it's all catch and release, this whole river system, so we had to let it go. Okay, the next salmon to show up in the rivers of Alaska, the reds or sockeye, so that's probably the favorite salmon of Alaskans. They high fat content flavor, so that's the one they like for all kinds of grilling, smoking. You won't see any in this particular creek, and the reason is there's no lake for them to spawn in. That's also why there's no trout in here. So both those species need a lake to spawn in. So if you want to catch either of those fish, you'll go down to Montana Creek or Sunshine Creek. They're both very close to here, and they have lakes attached to them, so you can catch the reds or your trout in there. Okay, the one that shows up in here, and it's supposedly here right now, it's either a late run or it's going to be a bad run, are the silvers or cohos. There's a few in here, but not the numbers we're looking for. So they're either late or, like I said, it's going to be a bad run. We didn't have a real good run last year either. But anyway, they're fun to catch. They run 5 to 7 pounds. They're good eating. And they're fun to catch. They'll give you a little bit of a fight. They'll run your line out and jump for you. And,
That's what
good stuff there.
fly guy did.
Okay, you guys want me to get your picture?
Yes, sir.
Down here?
Looked at him that night. Maybe this one too.
Okay, sure.
We all look funny.
No,
Yep.
not Scott.
Where's your
We
helmet?
look natural.
You
Jerry.
guys look natural.
Right there.
Yeah.
I like photobombing photos too. It's perfect. Okay, now. The kind of fish we get
Awesome.
over here are every kind of salmon except for sockeye.